Hello, everyone. I want to begin with a story today. When I was 14, I stood on a beach in my home country, India. What should have been a serene scene was marred by the overwhelming presence of plastic waste. Some of it half buried in the sand, and much of it being dragged into the sea. That moment stayed with me, not just as a stark image of environmental degradation, but as a realization of how deeply interconnected we are with our environment. It was this moment that planted the seeds of my work in climate advocacy. Climate change is more than just rising temperatures or melting glaciers. It's a crisis that adversely affects our communities. It aggravates inequality, creates barriers to accessibility, and disrupts education systems, often in ways that we don't immediately recognize. Let me illustrate this with another story. This time about a small village I visited during my work with Climate Conservancy, a nonprofit I founded to promote climate education. In this village, severe floods caused by erratic rainfall had destroyed schools. Children who were once eager learners had to walk miles to makeshift classrooms or works, had to drop out altogether. Their dreams of education washed away with the floodwaters. Climate change, in this instance, wasn't just an environmental issue, it was an educational and equality crisis. But this isn't just happening in one village or one country. Across the world, marginalized communities bear the brunt of climate change. Rising sea levels displace families, making access to schools, healthcare, and basic infrastructure a distant dream. Heat waves disproportionately affect those with disabilities who rely on accessible transit systems that may not function well in extreme weather conditions. And women, especially in the global south, face disproportionate challenges from increased caregiving responsibilities during disasters to unequal access to resources that could help them adapt. The silver lining, however, is that community development and climate action are deeply intersectional. When communities come together to address climate challenges, they can create solutions that not only mitigate environmental impacts, but also build a fairer, more accessible, and more equitable society. For example, I've seen youth led climate educational programs in rural areas transform not just the way students think about sustainability, but also the opportunities available to them. These programs teach young people how to innovate with renewable energy, create sustainable livelihoods, and advocate for their own futures. Accessible technology is another powerful tool in this journey. I've worked with groups that provide solar powered learning kits to remote villages, allowing children to continue their education despite power outages caused by climate disasters. These are small but impactful, tangible steps towards building resilient communities that prioritize both people and the planet. So, what can we do individually and collectively to turn the tide? First, we must invest in climate education because knowledge is power, and when young people understand the stakes, they often become the most powerful advocates for change. Secondly, we need to design solutions that are inclusive and accessible. Whether it's urban planning that accounts for extreme weather or educational programs that reach displaced populations, inclusivity must be at the heart of our efforts. And then finally, we must advocate for policies that prioritize the most vulnerable populations. Climate change isn't just a scientific issue, it's also a social justice issue. and justice means ensuring that no one is left behind. As I wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Climate change doesn't have to divide us. Instead, it can unite us in a shared mission to create a world where education, accessibility, and equality are not privileges but rights. Human rights that every person, regardless of where they live, can enjoy. Thank you.